Welcome to the Blackout Show, presented by the Guillen Grid, a show about the Chicago White Sox baseball, the good, the bad, the ugly. We'll debate what's working and what's not on the south side of Chicago. It's old school versus new school baseball. And most importantly, we're keeping all the receipts.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Tonight, Jay and I is joined by Nate Rasmussen, who is one of our favorite MLB Draft Analysts, and not only an analyst, but a coach, and just in general, a baseball person. Nate is joining us, and lately he is a part of both Overslot and Just Baseball Media. Nate, to sum it up all short, you were with us during the World Baseball Classic, actually. That was the last time we saw you, and at that time you joined us and you gave us two things. One, you gave us the hope of Antonacci and so many others that have debuted. So I'll let you touch on that real quick. But also you told us that Eduardo Rodriguez would not continue his performance in the World Baseball Classic.
I don't remember that.
Apologize to the man and continue to your introduction.
Good for Erod, man. Good for him. Cool that all the little White Sox guys are now coming up. Like the guys we've talked about the last couple times I've been on are now starting to debut. You know, Riku Nishida, one of my favorites, was up for a little bit. That was all exciting for me. But just glad to be back here on a draft eve with you guys.
I can't believe Gonzo really slid the Waldo Rodriguez take in there. He's petty. He's literally petty.
I don't even remember my bad takes anymore. There's so many of them. You just keep going.
Yeah, well, not that many. You're too modest, man.
Well, I remembered someone brought that up on Eduardo, and I'm like, who was that? I'm like, oh shit, it was Nate. And I'm like, glad we got him this week, so I can hit him with something good and something negative just to start things off.
Hold on,
actually,
I just want to ask him real quick, Gonzo. Nate, did you see Antonacci holding a solid 800 OPS? We're coming up on 300 at bats. Did you see an 800 OPS?
He's a real prospect, man, with some juice. Like, just incredible. Always fun seeing someone like you ride for, like, in the draft, like actually become a guy. It's pretty rare when like your 6th round like favorite guy actually ends up going to the show, let alone is like an above average player. But like that jump and just the White Sox believing in him is like part of the reason you guys are doing so well this year. Like that's what it's all about, identifying good young talent, and they've all been like average to above average. It's so much fun.
I agree 1,000%.
Even though we're going to dive into MLB draft talk primarily with you, the title of the show is Murakami is Back. From an outsider as yourself, being a Seattle guy, a Mariners fan, what does it mean to you seeing us getting back Murakami? Because me personally, when he went down, I'm like, that was my starter at first base for the White Sox when he went down. So the fact that he's not going to be in the All-Star game, for me, that hurts because from the get-go, I'm like, that's definitely a guy that's going to be there. But what does he mean? I want, because I haven't heard your thoughts of him, since the World Baseball Classic. And back then it was all speculation. So now that you've seen him, tell me your thoughts on Murakami.
It's all you can hope for and more. Obviously, untimely injury, but Murakami to me is like the titular feature for the White Sox. Like when I think of the White Sox, it's not a star, but it's like I think Murakami is kind of like the guy there, which is so much fun. That's what you hoped for, and you gave him that contract is like for what, $12 million a year. Like, can he be kind of like the face of this like retooled franchise for the next couple of years? And he has been that and more. So it's just kind of nice to get their face back.
And that I got my piggyback off of that is, so it's a 2-year, $34 million deal. I think it was 17 million each year.
Yeah.
Is that going to be like, should that be Justin Ishbia's first payroll out of pocket? Is that going to be the White Sox $100 million man? What does it look like in your eyes from a guy? I mean, I know you've been hearing, things early on in this season, but where do you think Schwarber's a fair comparison, or like, what do you think this is going to be structured when they get down to it?
I think it's not Schwarber level. I think part of the reason Schwarber got that contract was because of the stock he built in that community and with that team. But also Schwarber is like the best DH on the planet without a question. I think Murakami could approach like 70-80% of that. I think like the years and the AAV like aren't super far off, but I don't think he's getting the 5-year meg deal. But I think like you could look at something like 5 years, 150 million, somewhere in there. He's earned that so far. Obviously, we have a long way to go. But extending him does like have to be a priority. Like it's coming up soon, or it's like, no, we need to extend this guy and pay him as a top 3 DH in the game.
Yeah,
because we got a log jam in the middle infield. I mean, third base not a problem, but with some of the players that we got coming up, obviously we're going to talk about the number 1 pick that's coming to Chicago. It's a perfect opportunity to get Murakami locked into first base / DH and just not worry about that area of the team.
And you can afford it, right?
Yep.
Part of having a young team is you can afford to like extend 1 or 2 of the veterans early and give them that money because they'll be part of your team for 5 years down the road when you guys are really, really competing.
I need it.
Alrighty, enough of our MLB level talk. Nate, as Justin said, we've got the number 1 pick entering the weekend here on Saturday. So, Nate, what should be I mean, I know we'll get into one here shortly, but just as, a strategy for the organization, the one that I've seen is the last 2 years, they've gone high school prep in the second round. And obviously, we're going to get into the money, but just from the basics, I know you've done your homework. What can you tell us? Like, what are your expectations from the outside looking at this White Sox organization going into the draft of this class?
Yeah, no doubt. I think the expectations should be high, but never have too high of expectations in a draft where guys aren't going to debut for multiple years, most likely. The White Sox have so much money to work with that the influx of talent is just going to be incredible. Like 4 or 5 truly high level, top 30, top 20 prospects coming into your system is something that teams only a couple teams get that in the draft every single year. And the White Sox are the lucky team this year who get that extra bonus pool from having the number 1 overall pick. They're going to save money at 1, and it's going to fund rounds 2 through 4, or if they want to do a late round overslot deal with like a prep pitcher, it's going to fund that. So I would worry less about the names right now and whether they take your favorite guy in the second or the third or anything like that. But just understand, when you have that much artillery and money behind an organization, they're going to get a lot of talent. Like, you can't mismanage money to where you don't get the talent in MLB draft. They're going to get some real talent this year. So just excited for the organization.
So let's start there. What do you say, Nate? Is it time to roll through an exercise and start it off?
I'd love to give just a little background on some things I'm seeing, some notes that I have. So the White Sox are a top 5 slot percentage on first team picks over the past 3 years. So for a team's first pick, the amount of allocated slot money that they're giving to the first pick. So this doesn't matter as much this year, but I think it's just helpful context. They're not afraid to spend on their guys early. They're 11th in average slot value for their first 3 picks combined in a draft. So they're one of the bigger spenders early in the draft. They're balanced between prep and college. 8 hitters to 4 pitchers out of their first 4 picks in the last 3 drafts, which is kind of what we look at to project what they might do this year. Only 1 prep arm, 4 prep hitters, 3 college pitchers, and 4 college hitters. So obviously, most teams aren't drafting a bunch of prep arms early. That's pretty normal, but they're very balanced between everything else. Tied for 4th in prep hitters drafted in the top 3 rounds. So we would say like that's probably their niche demographic that they go after more than anyone else, is just overall prep hitters. The White Sox have been known to like bigger time NCAA programs. Your SEC teams, your good ACC, your Big Ten teams. They like a little bit of prestigiousness from a university. And the Sox went prep hitter last year, and then went to a college underslot deal, which I think is something that we might see again this year. And then the last 2 years, the White Sox have gone at roughly 135% slot value with their second pick. So that's an obvious trend. Looking to probably replicate that in this draft because they're going to save money at 1. We're looking at probably a significant overslot deal at 41.
So my piggyback with what you're saying, just looking at, how things are being layered in the organization. I think the infield is looking pretty solid, but obviously the lack of depth in the outfield is visible in this organization. And clearly they need more arms, quite frankly. So, and I think you said what, 1 arm that they took in the early rounds the past couple of years?
1 prep arm. Yeah, they've taken a couple college arms, but probably not a prep arm.
And those college arms came later. What was it, 4th through 7th rounds?
Second through 4th rounds, they'll start dipping into college arms a little more.
So you're thinking right away that tendency is going to flip more so than what we've seen, at least since Getz has been in the GM.
I think when you're looking at so much money possibly going to the second pick at 41, college arm doesn't make as much sense there, because I think you're more unlikely to float down a college arm to like overslot him. If they're looking to get like real value, spend a lot of money at the number 2 pick like they normally like to, I think that's what leans us toward the prep hitter market, just because prep pitchers are a shot in the dark. Not saying that they won't go prep pitcher at 41, but I think it would be unlikely at this point.
Okay. Jay, what other questions you got before we get going here?
Well, and I'm glad you brought up the notes on the tendencies right now as far as like where the White Sox want to go with their picks. I'm just intrigued because like if you look at most of the players, they're really young on the roster. Do you think they're gonna stay with those prep players because of the timeline, or how do you feel about what we're looking at going forward?
I think college players match the timeline better right now because they're closer to the age of the core. Obviously like Bonham still on the younger side. Some of your Foskis and Carlsons are still young, but rather than continuing to get younger and younger in the farm and keep bringing in 17, 18, 19-year-olds, you can start bringing in some 21-year-olds who are maybe a year removed from the show to start impacting winning as soon as 2027. Most teams are going to take best player available, regardless of age, high school versus college. But I would be lying and teams would be lying if they said that they didn't care a little bit about like where their core is at, whether a team is trying to extend their run. You look at like an older team like the Houston Astros right now, do they want to continue trying to extend through the rest of the 2020s and win some games before, the Altuves and the Correas and, Jordan gets too old? They're a team that might look to continue going college to try and extend that run a little bit longer, that championship window. When you look at a team like the White Sox, they can go either way and it doesn't really matter. But if they're trying to really enter a window soon, you might see them shift to a couple more college players.
Okay.
I know we'll get to this in our exercise, but I feel like if you have a college outfielder that slips into that range, that might
there'll be some.
That might change the game on because as much as I would love to see that arm taken because they need it, it's something to truly consider. Like if you do see that,
Oh, Chris, I have a proposal for you later with the college outfielder at 41, and then maybe saving your money to go way over slot at 77 instead. I think that would be a fantastic decision in this class.
Okay. What do you say, Nate? You ready?
Let's do this thing.
So, guys, Nate, I know I mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to share the screen for you. This is, this is your company's mock draft simulator from Overslot, and I wanted to take our platform and give the opportunity to show our viewers the product that you guys put together. So, everybody, this is a simulator that Overslot has put together, and I think, honestly, like, it's weird because, like, MLB wise, like, I don't see too many of these like too often, or like, it's always in articles. But like, I feel like when you look at like the NFL draft simulators, like those are so much like overblown and used. And it's awesome that you guys have actually launched this product, and it's a pretty friendly use, I should say. So we appreciate you, Nate.
It's so much fun. It takes up a lot of late nights. Shout out to Quinn Riley and the amazing Joe Doyle for putting that tool together. I wish I had a hand in it, man. This thing's so cool, but I just work for the guys. But I use it, man. I use it.
All righty, let's fire this up. Actually, Nate, do you want me to pick your Seattle boys in this as well, or do you just want to roll with our White Sox?
We're talking White Sox here.
Awesome. All righty. You can't say I didn't offer it to you. All right, let's go roll. All right, so we got the ranked. I'll let you take it away here, Nick, with because obviously, let's just call it for what it is. There's three guys that are seriously in this conversation. I can go on and on about my rants that I've had on this podcast, but I'm the one that has ranted on it already, so I want you to take it away. Give us your spiel at 1 for the White Sox.
Right, and this is going to hurt some people. There is no wrong answer between the three, and we know it's going to be one of the three at this point. That's been all but confirmed. And the three obviously are Rock Chalowski, Grady Emerson, and Von Lackey. Personally, I'm a Von Lackey at 1 guy. He's my favorite prospect in this draft. I have Rock Chalowski at 2, but it's one and the same. I think it depends on your taste which one you prefer. Grady Emerson also has such a valid argument for being the number 1 prospect in this class. What we're hearing right now from the White Sox is it's going to be either Rock Chalowski or Grady Emerson, and that Von Lackey is supposedly not going to be the selection at 1. That can obviously change. Smoke and mirrors, games, they happen in this industry. But as of right now, we're between Grady Emerson and Rock Chalowski. And for White Sox fans who have been, like you guys have been, you've been begging for Rock for months now. I just want to assure you, Grady Emerson is a fantastic prospect. And if it is him, you'll be just fine. Everything's going to be okay. The allure of both prospects is a little bit different. Rock Chalowski has the higher floor. He's the given. He's the college standout who's been number 1 on boards for over a year now. Standout player. There are very few holes to poke in his game overall. Maybe the best overall defender in this whole class as a college shortstop is something that is being maybe underrated somehow. Incredible defensively. Like, he's going to play shortstop for a long time and probably win some gold gloves. When we talk about a guy like Grady Emerson, we start getting into like these Bobby Witt comparisons, which is obviously so exciting as well. He's not as much of a willing base runner or aggressive base runner as Bobby Witt was, but a lot of the underlying metrics do kind of match up to a similar prospect. And the hit tool for Emerson is something that's been widely discussed. I've seen it from a 50 to a 70 in different reports. And that hit tool stands above Rock and above Von Lackey. It's one of the most sure hit tools. When we're talking about a guy like Kevin McGonigal coming up and dominating right away, it's because of that hit tool and how fast it took him through the minor leagues and how exciting that was. We could be looking at something very similar with Grady Emerson. And there should be above average power in there as well. Similar to a guy like McGonigal, but maybe a little bit more power, maybe a little bit more speed. The shortstop defense is good. It's truly, what do you prefer? Do you want the older prospect who's a more established shortstop defender and has a little bit more power to his game and still some small flaws in Rock that we could address to maybe get more power out of him in the future? Or do you want like the really young, exciting prospect that could turn into a top 3 player in the game? The odds that Grady Emerson's a top 3 player in baseball and in 5 or 6 years are higher than Rock Chalowski's. That's not to say Rock's ceiling isn't incredibly high as well, but that's where we stand right now. That was my monologue for you guys on those 2 picks. You can't go wrong.
All that to say this, guys, we're not playing.
I would take Rock Chalowski as well, and I've mocked him there. I think it's slightly more likely than Emerson. I know people in the industry think that Emerson is maybe slightly more likely. Maybe they probably have better intel than me, but I think Chalowski makes more sense for the White Sox right now.
I know this is all subjectivity relatively, Nate, but like I'm not quite there saying that in the as far as ceiling talks goes, I'm not there yet saying that Rock can't be the higher ceiling. Because I know you can say with what you will about, the development that Grady has right now at his age. But this doesn't take away the fact that even at 21, Rock still has another 3 years of development as well for himself before he hits his prime. And not only that, but Rock is the guy that you want Grady to get to at that age. Like with that stance at that the toolage that he has, that he's developed since, the high school days.
And Grady will fly through the minors with that hit tool. He will be, on the Connor Griffin track, the Kevin McGonigal track. I think when I say like Grady has a higher ceiling, it's not saying that Rock can't be, an incredible baseball player, but that true upper echelon level of baseball player, Grady Emerson's just so much more likely to achieve that given his skill set and youth. Whereas Rock is just doesn't have that same appeal, I suppose. Not to say that there isn't a super high ceiling on Rock Chalowski. It's very high. The floor is way higher too. It's a safer pick. There are tons of reasons to love Rock in this spot.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's just you, but like as far as I see it, like I heard the same things about Connor Griffin, the questions of his profile too, going into that draft. So like I say this just to say that I still think that there's still untapped potential to the development on Rock's side, that to say that his ceiling is not higher, if not higher than Emerson's, especially with the power difference of the two, even in high school. Because Rock's power numbers, he had more home runs in high school. The power is there, and that's something that Grady has to build upon. I'm not saying that the hitting side of it as a pure contact hitter, that obviously that's there for Grady, but that's something that still has to be developed upon on his side of it.
Without a doubt.
Here we go. All right, looking at the comp picks here, I want to get your thoughts because there's a couple of these guys I know that you've. Oh my gosh, I can't. This is the first time I've seen Landon go at 36 that I've done it. But anyways, you've tweeted a couple times here. I know you don't have Reese going as high as others have put him. So I want you to talk about real quick before you get to 41, at least with how this hypothetical has gone. But Ace Reese and Ben Blair, because I know Lance talked about him several times on the MLB Network. But go ahead. I want you to give your little speculation on them before we get to 41 here.
Yeah, I think Ace Reese I think that's a great spot for him for his full 30. I think he's going to go somewhere between 20 and 35. There's been rumors that he could go as high as, something like 13 or 14. My issue with Reese is he's a likely first base left field type. I don't think he's going to stick at third base. The defense is not great over there. And he's got incredible power production in college, and he hit a ton in college. The hit tool just has too many question marks for me to comfortably put a first round grade on him myself. He's going to go right around the first round, right? That has nothing to do with me. I am just lower on him than other people. And I could look like a complete idiot here. When we look at a guy like Andrew Fisher went in the first round under slot deal last year, or even like a Nick Kurtz type, when we talk about these corner infield mashers who are going to play first base or maybe left field someday, it's important to have some level of like hit tool security. And like Andrew Fisher made more contact and whiffed less and chased less than Ace Reese did in college. And we're talking about similar power production, but we're talking about Reese has the the most questionable hit tool between him and Andrew Fisher. And we've seen it this year. Fisher is punching out at over a 30% clip in the minor leagues. He's hitting a bunch of bombs. But like, how repeatable is that once you get to the MLB? Or are you going to be like a guy who hits 200 for power? Because at some point the strikeouts have to drop. So if Fisher is struggling that much with the hit tool in the minor leagues right now, and Reese has worse peripherals in college than Fisher had coming out, and like to talk about Nick Kurtz, like Nick Kurtz made contact with everything in college. That's why he was a top 10 pick. We're not talking about anywhere near the same player with Ace Reese. There's far more question marks. And if I'm going to take a first baseman that early, I want to know that he's going to hit enough to get to that power. And I'm not convinced right now with Ace Reese. It's a great pick in the second round of the comp rounds, but I just would be careful taking them too early. And then Ben Blair. Sorry. Ben Blair is going to be like a great number 4 starter in the MLB. Like, that's odd. Like, I think the ceiling's a lot lower just with the shapes and kind of what he does. Didn't face the best competition out at Liberty, but it doesn't matter as much for a pitcher. He's going to be a really good back end rotation piece that gives a slightly different look that the modern MLB is going to appreciate. And I think a guy like that's just inherently valuable. He's going to succeed, in my opinion. It's just not the high ceiling pick, but it's a really nice floor.
Real quick, Nate, I'm just curious. Out of these Comp A teams, can you see any of them dealing any of these picks right now, like the Yankees or the Phillies, with potentially wanting to go for it for the postseason?
Yeah, the Yankees and Phillies can't deal that pick because it's a 10-pick penalty from, I believe it's a salary cap deal, a CBA deal, where their picks are supposed to be at 25 and 26. The Pirates, however, are almost assuredly going to deal 34 is what I've heard. They're looking for a big league reliever, a high-level big league reliever in exchange. So we're looking right now, as my camera dies. I'm sorry, fellas. We're looking right now for the Pirates to make a move. I thought it was going to happen this week. It hasn't happened yet. Maybe tomorrow. I doubt we're going to get like a draft day type of trade right before the pick, but we might. You never know. The Pirates have been rumored to want to sell off that pick because they have so many picks in the first couple rounds that they don't really need it. And they can help the big league team right now with the MLB team that's doing very well. So look for that pick to be moved.
Do you think maybe the Red Sox would make sense dealing maybe like a Roldis, or do you think that's too much value for that?
Comp picks have tended to be not a super valuable asset in trades recently. We look at trades like the Gavin Lux trade netted the Mike Sirota, which is a whole different story, and a Comp A pick. A Comp A pick and a pretty high level prospect at the time. He wasn't a top 100 prospect, but people like Mike Sirota. For Gavin Lux kind of shows you where that value is. So I wouldn't expect an Aroldis type move. I would expect like a B to C tier reliever with maybe
like Gus Varlin for the Nationals, something like that.
Yeah, you could throw probably 50 names out that might match that value. But at the end of the day, I don't know what the Pirates are valuing it at. But they don't have as much value as you'd think, surprisingly.
All right. I think it is time to start talking 41. Because I wasn't even expecting to talk a little comp, A action with you, but that is interesting because that would be interesting to see what the Pirates do, if they're going to be buyers or sellers, because they're still in the mix right now as it is. Let's see. Where do I want to start here?
So Gonzo, explain this to me like I'm 5. Why is some of the numbers on the right-hand side, like the money is red, some is white? Obviously green means good, but what does the red and white mean?
I'm assuming, I know Nate could probably correct me, but since the slot selection that they're projecting is 2.4, all these individual slot selections are over that, so that's why it's red. Is that the concept here, Nate?
Correct. Yeah, red is over slot, white is near slot, and then I believe green is under slot.
So I don't want to cut you too soon, but I know you have a situation for me, and we were talking one of those, I'm guessing hypotheticals is right there with Caden Sorrell right there. But last week we actually talked about, or I brought up Tyler Spangler because I know he's a guy in this range that I liked. But again, that is an interesting, slot there at $4 million. I was trying to look for your boy. Did Rapey already go already? Yeah, he went at 26.
Ray, by all accounts, is probably going to go before 41, but if they have enough money to bring a college pitcher down the board, you never know.
Yeah. I mean, with this hypothetical, that's a hell of a pick there for Atlanta. Let's see.
There's your boy Logan Schmidt, Gonzo.
Yeah, I really love Logan. Nate.
Gonzo, do you want me to just crush your dreams a little bit really fast, or
please
do you
do, please.
later?
Oh man, hold on.
Do it now.
Let me see. All right, let's go with your guys that you're thinking at that range before I throw some names at you.
Sure thing. So here's my list of players that make probably the most sense to get drafted in this spot. Landon Tome is number one. It's the clear Midwest connection, the clear White Sox connection. The only problem right now is that he might go earlier. Tome's picking up steam right now. He's got some draft helium to where he's probably going to go in the 25 to 35. I think 41's probably closer to the floor now. We're looking at a guy who maybe isn't ranked that highly, but teams are clearly interested in him. So he'd be probably the number one fit for the White Sox here. Dominic Santorelli from Wisconsin. And if people haven't realized this yet, pretty much all of the preps I'm going to talk about here are just from the Midwest, because the White Sox value drafting guys from the Midwest so highly. They get more eyes on them. They play for their area codes team, all of the above. Santorelli is a corner outfield type, was huge power and a questionable hit tool, but like it could be like 80 grade raw power. Lit up the MLB Draft Combine, just no defensive value in the corner. But he does make a lot of sense at 41. Down the board a little bit, Jack Slightum is a right-handed pitcher from Illinois. He's a bunch of helium right now. Teams are apparently looking to get him toward the back end of the first in the comp rounds. This is a right-handed pitcher from Illinois. He's been up to 96. He's a cold weather arm. He's got a really good breaking ball, good fastball, cutter and changeup are coming along. These cold weather arms tend to rise up the boards as we get into the summer. Two other names I'd throw at you are Dylan Bowen and Ethan Bass from Illinois and Indiana, respectively. Both of them are shortstop prospects, but I'm going to get more into them a little bit later towards 77. But those are kind of like the big five Midwest prospects right now that have the most steam, I would say, to the White Sox if they were to go for a prep hitter.
So besides Rappy, you already named Tomey that I had on my list. I already talked about Schmidt and Spangler. I got two others, Luke Williams and Ethan Waxman. Would any of those two, Nate, and you think would be realistic in that range?
Yeah. So my next category that I have here is guys that I really like at 41. Number one on that list is Luke Williams.
Okay.
So I love where you're going with that. Probably an infielder, but could play outfield. It's a huge arm. We don't really know where he's going to play in the future, but probably on the dirt. Freak athlete, just putting up something. I think he had the highest like strength rating at the combine testing from force plate measurements. He's got some room to grow with the bat. Like it's above average hitting power, but we're not quite sure how good that's going to be. But with his physicality, he likely projects to probably impact the baseball pretty well. So I really like him at 41, Gonzo. I think that's a great shout. And I think he makes a lot of sense. He just isn't from the Midwest, I believe. I actually don't know where he's from. So that makes it just slightly less likely, I suppose.
I want to say it was Florida. I could be wrong, but
that sounds close.
So let's see. What you said you wanted to destroy my heart, so I'll let you destroy it.
Be wary of Tyler Spangler. This is a guy who still has a very real chance of going to school at Stanford. He missed pretty much the whole spring season with his high school team due to some off the field stuff that does not project well on him. There have been so many rumors about Spangler where I'm in full stay away mode. He's not a top 50 prospect right now for me. Just kind of terrified of just how much we're hearing about him and how many question marks there are. Logan Schmidt has fallen down boards a lot. Who was once maybe a borderline top 30 prospect is now looking like maybe on the outside of some top 50s. We'll see what his money's looking like, but he might not be as much of a shoe-in in that 30 to 40 range as we previously thought. Scouts have tempered on him quite a bit.
You think that's more so because he might want to bet on himself on the money side of it, or?
I think that's definitely a chance. I think there's just an overall. I think when we hear stuff like this, there's a lack of confidence in scouts to like put his name in as like, this is the guy that I would take it in this range. Sounds like not a whole lot of people are putting him in as like a sure thing in the range that we first thought he would go in. Like I am hearing nothing about him going in the top 30 anymore.
And what holes could they be poking at? Like the scouts that you're hearing, is it more so stuff or?
Say that again. Sorry.
Is it like what's the cons of what that would be pushing him back if it's not money? Like, is it that they don't believe that he has enough like plus pitches or?
Schmidt's an interesting one. It's good velo from the left side. I'm not sold on the arsenal as a whole. It's good extension, but that's causing everything to play up. Like the fastball plays up a lot because of the extension. Not having seen him pitch in person or heard from scouts like at a game or anything like that, I don't want to speculate too hard on what but might be pushing him up down the board because there's always a chance that it's not pitching related. All I know is that Schmidt is falling pretty fast right now, and looking at him as more of a round 2 or 3 guy.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Last part of this, Nate. You said you got a hypothetical for me, so go ahead and throw it at me.
Well, I think if I were the White Sox, I think a college outfielder is at 41 is the perfect range for him. There's a bunch of really good ones that are likely to be available at 41. I think the prep talent is slightly tailed off at 41 unless you can move a guy down the board like an Archer Horn or maybe a Taj Marchand or one of these other shortstops. And maybe the White Sox don't want to go back-to-back shortstops and add another shortstop into the mix. To where I would love for them to take your pick of college outfielders. Caden Sorrell is probably the first guy that comes to mind. True center fielder, a lot of swing and miss, but a lot of power. And then a guy like Jake Brown from LSU. Really like him right around that 40 range. But plenty of other guys who could be around there, your Aiden Robbins types.
So let's take this as a realistic, shot here at 41. If you're the White Sox, is there an arm, since Sorrell fell to this range, is there a arm that you think would be a real conversation for them to compare with him on the board at this point?
Arms in that range, there will be college arms available. Logan Redeman, if he makes it past New York, could be an option there. A guy like Tegan Coons could slide a little bit. After that, the college pitching gets a little bit more thin. We start talking about Gabe Gackle and some of the other guys. I think Jack Slytham makes a lot of sense in that range as well. The Midwest prep pitcher we talked about earlier. So prep pitcher might be more likely than college pitcher at 41, unless they have a guy that they really like. You never know.
Yeah. You know what? I think at this range, I think Caden would be, at least in this hypothetical, I think Caden would be the pick here.
And I think the rationale behind this pick is that Sorrell will go for a round slot in that range, and you retain all this savings for some of these prep guys who are closer to, 50, 60 on some of these draft boards to really overspend with your 3rd and 4th picks in a draft. Float a guy like Slytham down, or maybe Coleman Borthwick can somehow gets floated even further down. Dylan Bowen and Ethan Bass are both going to be available in this range now, to where you can really overspend in more like these middle rounds.
Yeah, let's see it. So as the 3rd pick is upon us here, 77 is the next pick. So far, based on this hypothetical, we have used around 13 or no, we spent 11 million and we have 6 million left with 8 picks to go. For this exercise, for our audio listeners, we're just going to do through pick 105. So we got 77, 105 here coming up here. So far in our exercise here, we took Rock Chalowski at 1 and Caden Sorrell, the college outfielder, at 41, which would be nice in this situation, Nate, because you can keep Braden Montgomery in right field and Phil Sorrell right there in center. I mean, obviously that trek of him, his pathway to the majors, it's just going to depend on, that progression. But, obviously if there even is a season next year, I doubt Sorelli would go through it that quickly. And
he would not.
I think that would probably take him to like at least 26 potentially as a debut, maybe later in the year. But if you're looking long term, that's a solid outfield right there with center to right, with left field still questionable. What's your thoughts as we I want you to lay out the strategic plan here at 77 before we start talking names.
Yeah, so the difference between the simulator is like you can't float a guy down in the simulator, obviously. So in this situation in real life, the White Sox probably identify a target who's projected to go between 41 and 77, and they say, hey, we're going to give you a lot of money at 77 for you to basically say you're gonna sign with us or get drafted by us at 77. So that's where a guy like Ethan Bass or Dylan Bowen come in. Maybe there's a shot at a Colt Prosek, but I highly doubt it. Martin Schillar is a name that would make a lot of sense. Maybe a Rocco Maniscalco type. If they wanted to get really crazy, you could float him way down the board and give him a bunch of money because they have a bunch. A lot of shortstops in this range, I would say. But just because they're a shortstop now doesn't mean that they won't play somewhere else in the future. Trey Ebel's another name that I want to talk about here. Also has some helium into the top 50, but would make a lot of sense as a way over slot spend at 77. So while the simulator might not have maybe the guys that we would want to target here, you would imagine that the player that they take at 77 is going to be basically the best available prep player that they floated down.
Okay. I think we'll do it the same way that we did it for 41. So Nate, go ahead, take it away with guys in this range you want to call out, and I'll give you my list.
Those were all of them. Schillar,
okay.
Ebel, Maniscalco, Bass, Bowen, Luke Williams. There's maybe a chance you could float him down. Bamilla could be available in this range, but I wouldn't take a shot on him at this point. Signing bonus is going to be really confusing. We haven't talked about Joseph Contreras at all today, but I think he likely ends up at school. He's asking for a lot of money. Probably doesn't make sense in this draft class. Maybe a Slightum could get floated down as well.
My bad. I when you were first naming the names, I just thought that was realistic, and I was just kind of seeing if anything that you might have caught your eye here on the simulator that you weren't expecting.
I think Hirschkorn was a fun name I just saw. It's really big righty with pretty explosive stuff. Dominated area codes last year, so I know some scouts like him. Elliot Lasaise from Canada is a fun shortstop prospect with a really
there
good.
We go right there, number 99.
Who do we got at 99? Miles Bailey.
Yeah,
terrifying player. Could be really fun, but the hit tool likely doesn't play in minor league baseball. But the power upside is absolutely incredible.
Same boat as Ace Reese, right?
Similar, but Ace Reese makes a lot more contact than Miles Bailey. Miles Bailey is like a first percentile whiff rate. Ace Bailey's
for real?
Percentile. Yeah. Miles Bailey swings and misses at one of the highest rates we've ever seen for a guy getting drafted as high as he will.
What do you think? Let's just say he does make it to the show right now. You think his K rate exceed like 35%?
It's going to be in that range for sure. Yeah. But he'll hit plenty of home runs for you, but it might be 180 with a 35% K rate, 40%.
Can you imagine that, hitting 30 home runs and you got a 716 OPS?
I just saw Slightum up there. Him with the Midwest connection. I know he's a prep arm, which you guys don't take a whole lot, but in this sim, someone like him definitely makes a lot of sense.
Where was he? Was he in the best fit or ranked?
He's up a little higher on the screen you're on. Other way.
Oh shit.
He says
there he
a little
is.
higher and you go down.
That Jack Slayton you said, right? You're here at 60?
Yeah.
Okay. And then that's crazy because Luke Williams is right there too.
Another awesome option. Yeah.
So before I make our decision here, I got some names too I wanted to toss out here at you. You brought up Miles Bailey. I'm a big fan of Contreras, so I'd be interested, if they would make the money work, if they would do it. But or go ahead. You're about to say something.
It's like first round, middle first round type of money that they're going to be asking for. And at that point, I don't have Joseph Contreras within my top 100 prospects. I know the World Baseball Classic was really fun and showed us something. It's kind of a forkball, and that's about it. The fastball shape's really poor. High school hitters in Georgia hit his fastball very, very well. Breaking ball shapes aren't great. It's just a really nice forkball. And that isn't enough to pay a guy, lots of millions of dollars, in my opinion. So I think most teams are probably going to be out on him to where he's a very likely campus guy.
So I'm just going to throw two, I guess, hell of it names at you, and then I'll throw another two more interesting names at you. But what's your thoughts on Wes Mendez? I know he went earlier, right after our second round, but between Wes Mendez and I saw Peyton Bonds on the board here, what's your thoughts on those two?
Yeah, so Wes Mendez is one of the only kind of middle tier pitchers in this draft for some reason. I'm trying to find where I have him on my own board. I have him at 72. There's not a whole lot of college pitching around there. I have Gabe Gackle in that range. After Wes Mendez, there's kind of a drop off. If you really like Evan Dempsey from Florida Gulf Coast, he might be in that range, but there's a clear kind of tier 1 is basically Jackson Flora. There's a tier 2A in this class with a couple pitchers that I really like. Your Liam Petersons, your Cameron Flukies, and Cade Townsend I would put in there for myself. Then there's a 2B with a bunch of arms. Coons, Rabe, all of those guys. And then tier 3 is really light. So these third round college arms, it's like Wes Mendez and a couple shot in the dark type players. Colleges will certainly like some of these guys, Jacob Dudon from NC State who got TJ. There'll be some options in this range, but it's really thin college pitching, I think, right around this pick. In the third and fourth round. So just an interesting part of this draft class. And obviously can totally change. College pitching might get drafted way earlier than I think. But just not a whole lot of guys. So Wes Mendez is the leader of that group is what I'm trying to say, which makes him, I think, a really nice pick because he's going to be one of the few college pitchers likely available in this range. Who was the second guy you talked about, Gonzo? I forgot.
He said Peyton Bonds.
Yeah, Peyton Bonds.
Bonds is an interesting one. I think I've cooled on him at this point. I had him right around 100 in my last update. The chase rate is the real problem. It's first percentile chase rate, which is something that works when you have such a high 90th percentile exit velocity, but it just limits the ceiling so much. He doesn't whiff too much. It could be a little bit better. He doesn't barrel the ball a whole lot. He doesn't walk a whole lot. It's just this chase is really killing him. We got to lower the swing rate, and that's something that's really hard to do in prospects. So I would say Peyton Bonds would be a fun pick in this spot, but for the amount of ammo that the White Sox have, they shouldn't be looking at a guy like him until the fifth round, because that's where the money will make more sense for them. There's no reason to go under slot or slot value this early, and I don't think Peyton Bonds is going to be demanding 70th to 80th pick slot money. But super fun name, fun connection, right?
Mm-hmm. So the two more interesting ones for you, I'm going to use the exercise here because I think you're going to love this 65, 66 because your boy's got another pitcher with Gabe Geico there at 65. But the interesting name I wanted to talk to you about was Caden. Is it Bogenpool? Is it here that Milwaukee took?
Yeah, Bogenpool.
Yeah, I saw some really interesting EVs at the combine from him. So I wanted to hear your thoughts on him as a prep guy.
College, Missouri State, actually, kind of smaller school, but absolutely dominated out there. Bogenpool is a really fun name in the late second to early third, and I think a ton of teams are going to want him. He's kind of risen up boards towards the end of the cycle a little bit. It's one of the best 90th percentile exit velocities in the country, which is one of the most predictive stats for future performance. It's 100th percentile, I believe. So he hits the ball at a premier rate. It's like Miles Bailey type of exit velocities, but he doesn't whiff quite as much. It's 26th percentile whiff. He doesn't chase, which gives you a little bit of hope that maybe he's going to hit enough. He's going to stay in zone. He's going to draw his walks, all of the above. This is a guy who walked at nearly a 20% rate last year. So Bogenpool is an absolutely awesome option in this range, and he's not going to break the bank.
That would be legit. I feel it's if he made it to 77, but in our exercise, of course, Milwaukee would take it.
You could very easily float him down a little bit in this
Yeah.
spot. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Last one here for you. I want to know if you think this is a guy that you should try to get at 77, or if you can probably float him down to the 130, 105, because I'm not sure if he would make it at 105. I want to hear your thoughts. And that is Ethan, is it Kleinschmidt, is it?
Kleinschmidt. Oh, right up my alley, man.
Yeah.
Left-handed pitcher from Oregon State, former JUCO product. Has a little bit of helium here late. You know, Lance really likes him, which says a lot, right? It's a really funky lefty just release. He's a slinger from the left side. He is absolutely wipeout against lefties. Lefties have a really hard time hitting it because it's the release traits where he's throwing behind him with long levers. Good breaking ball, good changeup. I think the problem with Kleinschmidt right now is that there's a lot of relief concern because you're not going to get to too many more pitch shapes from that arm slot. And the deception is really good, but the velo is not very high. He's very much a pitcher. He's going to rack up Ks, but there's going to be some hard contact against him as well. I think that you could get him in the 4th or 5th. We'll see how many suitors he has. But I think 77 is probably too rich for him. He's not a guy who's that close to my top 100, frankly.
Okay. All right. So I think with our consideration that you talked to me, where is it? So Slayton or Williams, and based off of what we've got so far with Rock and Caden, I think I would have to go with Jack Slayton in this situation. So I think between the two of them, again, you can go either way with center field, outfielder with Luke, but I really want this arm right now at this point.
This is one of the more exciting arms immediately, maybe the most exciting arm in the system right away. Being able to take that high level of a prep pitcher at 77 is no joke, and that's what this bonus pool is gonna allow you to do. So that's really fun.
So Jay, how do you feel about Rock, Caden, and Jack so far as our 3 picks?
I like it. It's eerily similar to last year's draft. Started with the shortstop, got our 2nd round outfielder. I don't know if Caden Sorrell started off as a catcher like Fauski, but I mean, if
he's left-handed, so probably not, but you never know.
Right. Oh, okay. So yeah, no, there's no shot. There's no shot. No, I mean, I like it. Rock's my consensus number 1. Anything after that, I expect the White Sox and Chris Getz to keep making hay. That's what he's been doing the last 18 months. So I like it. It sucks that my boys Ace Reese and Miles Bailey, they can't hit enough to get on the team. But
son of a bitch. Fucking Kleinschmidt went 103 to the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
I hate this fucking exercise now.
Yeah.
I do think that this spot is where you do look toward college pitching here.
Yeah. I don't think it'd be bad for them, the Sox, to double dip either with that 77 and 105 right now.
Yeah.
Let's see what's on the board here. I don't got anything in my notes for 105, Nate, so feel free to take it away at this range, because this is where I start to get fuzzy with the folks on the board.
Yeah, no doubt. I didn't prepare for this pick, but let's just look at my board and see some of these names over here. I got like Genson Veras has absolutely insane exit velocities for a prep outfielder. That could be a really fun option. He's 86 on my board. How about a guy like James Tronstein, a guy from LA, Harvard Westlake, outfielder? Martin Schlar is a guy who will not make it to this range, but maybe you could float him down. Another prep outfielder from Georgia. Someone I really like, but probably isn't a great proposition here, is Wesley Roberson, an outfielder from Georgia once again. Has a little bit of steam to go higher than this, but there are some concerns still in the profile. He's a absolutely slam dunk pick in the 3rd or 4th round. A couple other guys I would mention here. Catcher is kind of fun. Prep catcher, super rare, but Tegan Scott out of local Oregon for me. Hits the baseball really hard, has a pretty passive approach that could use some work, but he's going to stick behind the plate at catcher, and he's got the exit velocities to, be one of those power hitting catchers that we all love nowadays. So any of those guys make a ton of sense. There's a bunch of options here. Jack Duggan, shortstop out of Tennessee, is another great option. I could go on and on. I don't know who's actually available though on this mock draft.
Let's see. I'm trying to scroll down here.
Cooper Sides is an awesome right-handed pitcher, but another prep pitcher that they would likely not double up on.
Yeah.
Is that Matt Pontaski there?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, so he's committed to Kentucky to play both baseball and quarterback. However, he's said that he wants to be considered seriously in the MLB draft by scouts. So that's a really fun pick there as well. Super talented athlete.
Interesting. Okay, it's not right. Is there anyone that you think is most realistic at this range?
I think Veras right there at 142 on your board. Slight overslot, which you have the money for, and really hard hitting prep outfielder.
You know what? With the depth for the outfielder, where we need it. So let's just go with it. Well, that goes. Nate, we went, and so far we got Rock, Caden, Jack, and Jensen Veras. I think granted, I think that 105 can probably be so many options there, but I think
it's all a crapshoot right now.
Yeah, I think the way that when you began before the extra, let's talk about strategy. I think we hit it right on the head on how this could probably go about with how even the exercise went. What's your thoughts overall with how we did so far?
I think college at 41 is unlikely as of right now. I think that's most likely to be probably another prep hitter. But given the way that this went, I prefer it. Certainly, I like it quite a bit rather than going prep. Save a little bit of money for down the board to get some more guys that you like and spread it around a little bit more. So, I think it's realistic enough for sure. A lot of high upside players in here, which you just love to see.
Alrighty. Yeah, no, one thing, Nate, I want to know, and I know this isn't draft related, but as far as the outfield goes, have you done, or I guess overall, have you heard anything of Sebastian Romero in our system in the complex league by chance?
I think I've seen some Twitter posts, but I'm not doing a whole lot of minor league anymore. So you'll have to enlighten me.
I want you to look his numbers up right now in the complex league because they've completely shocked me. And
17.
earlier, yeah, he's 17. He was signed this, I think it was this offseason. But earlier today, I posted my top 10 non-debuted system, and I think I had him at 7. I got to go back and look at it, but this is a guy that I was completely shocked about, and I think this is a good shout out for the Gets in the front office with the international signings because he's killing it, and he's put numbers that are really similar to the guys that are being talked about. For example, maybe like Emmanuel Luna in St. Louis, and Guillen Gomez in Kansas City is getting talked about a lot. Alexander Frias and the Brewers, another good name. But these are just guys that were in the complex and just promoted recently. So I really hope we see him one day because that'd be just a great story overall. But at least in our exercise, this could be, good competition for him with some of the, other high school prep and college guys that could be there in the second round.
Without a doubt, that's within the window, right? A bunch of these guys, 17 to 24, that's the future, man.
Yep. Jay, you got any questions for Nate as we wrap it up here?
So I know this is a White Sox podcast, but I just got to know, what do you expect your Mariners to do on Saturday?
They're so unpredictable. I think it's easy to pencil them in for college pitching. I think this could be the year where they go off script a little bit more. There's a lot of college outfielders that might fall. That's what we're hearing right now, is that there's this mid-level college outfielder who are projected to go maybe between 10 and 20 that might fall into the 20 to 30 range. So I think it's not likely, but it's definitely probable or possible that the Mariners go college outfield at 24. I'd be happy with whoever they take, though. Absolutely awesome draft class. If they take a college pitcher, I'd love all of them in this range. College outfield can get scary at times, but I'd love to see them draft a hitter for once. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Okay.
So, Nate, my last question for you on this podcast is this. Before I get to the question, a little backside to this. I think Getz and his staff with Shirley and company, I think they killed it in the second round, the last two drafts. My question is this. As an outsider looking in, what would have you disappointed in Getz? Like, what would happen early on that would have you question him if it happened in this draft? Because we talked a lot of positivity, and I want to challenge you. I want to throw the ball. Let's flip the script. What would disappoint you in this draft?
They need to take a shot on a prep arm with their first 4 picks. This is the best prep pitching draft class we've had in a long time. And they have enough money to take a shot on one of these prep pitchers and try and get a future ace. Whether that's the Slighton we talked about earlier or one of these other guys, I want them to take a prep pitcher because you guys you can afford to at this point. And I know it's risky and a lot of teams don't like doing it, but I think that shows their confidence in both their scouting department and their player development department, unlike any other, is taking a raw high school pitcher who can throw hard but needs a lot of work. There's a lot of them in this class, but you could pay off big time in 4 or 5 years.
And to piggyback off of that, I know we threw out a lot of names, but give me your top 3 guys in that range from 41 to 77. What 3 guys, if you just had to pick one of them, but I mean, if the Sox only get one of them, that's awesome, but give me your top 3 in that range.
You want prep arms in that range?
Yes. Actually, you know what? How about this? Give me top 3 high school prep and top 3 college arms in that range.
Okay. College arms in that range. I think Joey Volchko, insane stuff out of Georgia. I think Tegan Kuhns has enough upside where he makes a lot of sense in that range. And then Gabe Gackle is much higher on my board than most others. It's an outlier fastball, and those kind of things matter. Maybe he's a reliever. So what? It's an awesome fastball. As far as prep arms in this range, Jensen Hirschkorn is the California kid who went off at area codes last year. Super tall, throws really hard. He's 6'7". Jack Slighton should be a priority for the Chicago White Sox, being a Midwest kid and them having a bunch of money at 41. That should be the spot. After that, you're going to make me pick between a couple favorites here. Sean Duncan, I'm going to go with. Sean Duncan is getting a major surgery. I believe Tommy John, but I don't want to speculate. It's not fully released yet. He injured his arm very recently, so he's probably not going to pitch for a year. But before that, he was a top 30 pick in the draft. Scouts apparently still love him. I interviewed him with Joe on the Overslot channel. Cannot say enough good things about the kid, the family. Really like him. Really good left-hander. He's from Canada. He's been facing Dominican stars. He squared off against Jesus Made when he was in the Dominican Summer League, when Sean Duncan was just like 15 or 16 years old. He's been battle tested. One of my favorite kids in this class. I'd love to see him on the Chicago White Sox.
So right before I let you go, Nate, I just want to say this. I'm really pissed that, and listen, I love Bonnemer, but if I had a chance to redo that 24 draft, I would. But I'm pissed because we let Ryan Sloan get to you guys, because he came from Yorkville High School in Elmhurst, Illinois. When you talk about Midwest, he was out here in our area codes, and we let him slip through the cracks. Is that a good comp to like a Slightum, or what's your thoughts on this?
It isn't, because Sloan should have been an earlier pick and his stuff was like first level type. Slightum's a late riser. He doesn't have the same pure stuff, but it's similar in the cold weather arm where like, oh wait, it might take a big step up. But Sloan is a better prospect at the same stage. But like a 80% version, 90% version, there's a lot of similarities to draw there. I think like the teams that pass on him, I think could regret it in the future. He's a huge helium guy right now, but for good reason.
Yeah. Because if it was me, I'm picking Connor Griffin there at 5. I sent that tweet out a week before that draft that the arm I want is Chase Burns. Obviously, that didn't matter because he went to Cincy right before. But I said that bat you got to get is either Connor Griffin or JJ Weatherholt. Those were the two bats I really wanted. Connor first, but JJ right there. And I can't let Getz down from that first round. I get going Bonnemer in the second round, but like I said, if it's me, I'm grabbing Connor at 5 and then grabbing Sloan. I think that was 44, was it?
The beauty of being number 1 is you don't have to worry about going under slot with your first pick to save for prep later. You got the savings already at number 1. It's the easiest draft experience ever.
And it looks like we got some comments for you in the chat, actually, before we let you go. Wolf says, Rusty Greer had me fired up for Emerson, but I'm still leaning Rock. I think this is a question to you from Uncle Ted. And what hitting metric is any hitter in this draft better than Ace Reese?
Yeah, people do not like my Ace Reese take at all. Mississippi State fans have been frankly very mean to me on social media, but it's okay. I can take it. Ace Reese doesn't make enough contact, guys, and he's going to play first base. That's not a valuable position. Neither is left field. So if you're not making enough contact and the bat becomes within question, is this guy going to hit enough to get to his power, and he doesn't play a premium position? Those are two negatives, and those are the two most important parts of the game, offense and defense. Maybe the only two parts. All right, what do we got here? Yeah, this stat keeps getting thrown at me. Yeah, he was a really good college hitter. That doesn't mean that the underlying metrics mean he should be like the first overall pick. Because if he set records like this, then he should be the first overall pick. Yeah, so Andrew Fisher's actually punching out a 35% rate in high A, which is not a good thing for a hitter, even if he's hitting a lot of home runs. I can do this all day. I can do it all day.
Scouting.
Scouting, you have to look at the under the hood numbers too. Just because a player's really good in college doesn't mean that they're going to be a good professional. It's a completely different league, and things like whiff rates and chase rates and swing decisions matter so much.
I think Uncle Ted here just is one of those people that loves the metrics, but doesn't understand the scouting side of this. And I do love the banter, though. Go back and forth with the audience and our guests. So, what else he put in there? Oh gosh,
what are you trying to say? I don't even know what he's trying to say.
Yeah, I'm kind of lost.
Yeah, it's just
Oh, this is he added. No, I love good hitters. These guys want another Billy Carlson. I don't think that's the point, though, that we're making at all.
Billy Carlson, future Gold Glover, man. That's why he took him there. There's value there, which is the same reason that there's less value in Ace Reese, because the defense makes up a huge part of the profile. I saw Billy Carlson's going to play again soon, so pretty excited. Pretty excited to see that.
Because his numbers before the injury, he was starting to heat up, and that is my thing about Billy is like, as an organization, if you feel that hitting profile is just not going to be what what you were hoping for, I think you got to make that deal sooner than later to get the value for Billy. But if you do feel like that bat is going to pan out, then I don't think you deal him.
I'm telling you want to hold him. I'm telling you want to hold him because there's more value to be seen later than if you're to trade him right now. You're gonna get 40 cents on the dollar. He's one of those guys like, oh man, I'd be scared to get rid of him.
Yeah, because that's a guy where if that hitting tool pans out, That's your Gold Glove, like starting. Like, he's on par with Rock there. If not, might be better than Rock defensively at shortstop.
I think it's very comparable as the best gloves in both of their drafts.
And you just got to allow those two to compete defensively, see who's going to be the guy, the shortstop of this long term. And then whoever, doesn't pan out there is going to be slotted over to, third or second base, depending on the arm between the two of them. So now I've seen a lot of this too. I want to ask you this also, since I just mentioned it, but let's just say Billy is there at short. Would you put Rock? Like, where do you put him? Third base, second base? Where does he fit?
Yeah, third makes the most sense. If Rock was to ever not play shortstop, it would be third base. Just good enough arm. His actions. He has like this lower kind of arm slot that he likes to throw from time to time, and that plays better at third than second base. So he'd be one of the best over there.
Yeah, no, I mean, those are good problems to have. So Nate, oh my gosh, we're at an hour 10 here. I took a lot of time from you. You've got articles to write tonight. I need you to get your rest for the draft here coming up here. So give Uncle Ted your shout out of where he can find your work. Let me know what else you got coming up here on your side of things.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Rasmussen Base, and then go subscribe to Overslot, some of the best draft coverage out there. Bunch of cool stuff going on over there. And stay tuned for the socials this weekend. I'm sure I'll be giving lots of opinions on how things in the draft go down. I'm looking forward to it, man. This is my favorite week of the year. So definitely busy, but glad I could spend a little bit of time with you too.
Yeah. Nate, we have to have you definitely for a little breakdown from this draft coming up maybe later on, or even later in the season, so we can not only dive into our class of 2026, but look at how the second half goes with some of our minor league system guys. I mentioned Sebastian Romero. Maybe we can do a little update on him later on. So
let's do it, fellas.
Nate, great having you. Loved having you on with us for the World Baseball Classic, and now ending our first half of the season as we go into this MLB 2026 draft. This is our Christmas. This is the grown man's Christmas, I should say. So, Nate, thank you so much, man. You guys can find him at Overslot or just Baseball Media. Nate Rasmussen, thank you again. Appreciate having you.
See you guys.
Alrighty, guys. We had Nate for too long, Jay. Jay, your battery's running out, man. You got to charge.
No. You did this. You do this every fucking time. We get to talking about the prospects and the draftees, and we just. But it's okay, because you better be lucky. I like Nate. I love when he comes on, man. I'm always smarter when Nate comes on the show. Like, you didn't see me. I was taking notes. Like, I was writing down some of these damn names. Uncle Ted is pissed about that Ace Reese take. I'm letting you know right now. He is pissed.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the era where the strikeout rate, everyone is striking out at crazy numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it does have, it does make sense what he's saying. There is parts of this, like the profiles. Let's bring up Uncle Ted here, because he brings up all the names. But Uncle Ted, you got to realize, right? Mune, again, you take Moone's profile because of how many bombs he's hitting, right? Colson is a true three outcome player. It's walk, strikeout, home run. Those 3 out profiles, if you're striking out at that alarming rate, it's going to counter one of those outcomes, and it's mostly the home runs usually. So again, Colson, his profile, he needs to find a way to make more contact, get extra base hits, he's been getting a lot of shit about not converting those runners in scoring position. That's why Isaac Guillen called him out on the post game. What was that, 3 weeks ago now? But again, it matters. And same thing with Vargas. This is Vargas's true first season that he's producing at this clip. He needs to continue to, produce at this clip through a whole 162. But again, the major difference with right now the White Sox is your best 3 hitters are in this 3 outcome profile, and usually that doesn't cut it. So I'm interested to see what Mune can do. I think out of all these, the 3 hitters that we got right now, Mune is the one that can probably challenge himself and start making more contact and really push that, because I mean, that's the only thing that's stopping him from being, an elite hitter. We've seen his home run numbers and they're astronomical. But the only thing, again, that's stopping him from being that elite profile is the contact rate. Because we see his elite discipline at the plate, and that's awesome. But again, we need multiple hitters that have, the complete profile. And we're getting there, slowly getting there. All right, Jay, since you're low battery, how do you say we cut Will's Way to next week so we can just get to the schedule?
I want to open up with Will's Way next show.
Okay, let's do that. Before we get to Will's Way and the schedule, Jay, there's one thing I do want to put out there. We missed last week, so I thought that it sucked that we didn't take the division series on the road. We left off last show saying that to truly not falter in the second half, we need to see that road record become more favorable. You got to start winning on the road if you really want to have a above 500 record and continue to have this record of being in first place in the second half. You need to win on the road, and that is significantly important that you do that versus the division. You can't be settling for splitting on the road in the division right now. Like, these are series you must win. And the fact that we let those slide, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't walk away from those series saying, oh, we'll just, bring on the next series. Like, to me, that shows you where this team currently is. It's a team that is probably at the end of the year near 500. I don't think this is a team that's going to win the division because of exactly that. You're not winning on the road. You can have the best home record. That is awesome. And honestly, going forward, that's fantastic. But you need to be at least 500 on the road. And they are not near that right now. So hopefully, Venable. We're going to get to Venable because there's a lot going on there that we got to talk about. But big concept, again, is winning on the road. And not only that, I know, Jay, we just lost to Boston at home. We got swept. Hopefully, we don't get swept versus the A's at home to end this first half. Anything you have to mention before we get to the schedule?
I usually I enjoy Red Sox wins because, all Sox matter. But I feel like it was just a waste of 3 days for both teams. Like, the White Sox had an opportunity to do some of that home cooking, Gonzo, and we dropped the ball there. And on the Red Sox front, like, you swept the White Sox. You won your 6th game in a row. Now you're on your way into purgatory going into the trade deadline. So now you might look at a team that's not going to really peel off and sell like they should. They're going to try to keep the band together. And the reason we're in this predicament is because we didn't unclog the outfield log jam for the Red Sox. They failed to do that this offseason, and now we're going into a trade deadline where they're probably going to sit on their hands. The only person we're talking about trading is Aroldis Chapman. That's been that way for, 2 campaigns now. So, I mean, we're just back to square one for both of my Sox. I mean, the White Sox have been the better team this season compared to the Red Sox. There's no way we should have got swept at the rate this week. There's no way. So, I mean, I'm disgusted. For lack of a better term, I'm disgusted because the White Sox needed these games. We needed to beat the shit out of the Red Sox at home like we've been doing every other team, right? And just to talk about, to go back to the series, the 4-game set we had at Progressive, I'm not going to lie, Gonzo, I'm proud of the White Sox that game. I know we blew like 70% of the leads that we had that series. But any other White Sox team, the last team that made the playoffs for the White Sox, 2021, correct? The 2021 team would have got swept in Cleveland. They would have gotten swept, even without Jose Ramirez. So the fact that the White Sox were able to salvage that series while playing C- baseball for the most part, I was pleased with the split. I'll happily take it. Just to fucking turn around and get swept by the less Sox. Like, come on, we can't teeter on the seesaw of inconsistency. Not at this point.
I agree with you. Fortunately for us, with the schedule coming up, we only have to talk about one series before we end the first half, and that is, again, Oakland is coming to the rate this weekend. Tomorrow is sold out for, I think is it Mexican night? I know Murakami is making his debut from the IR, but tomorrow's matchup, I believe, for the A's is undecided, but it looks like we got Sean Burke on the mound tomorrow.
Big Burke. Big Burke. The stopper.
Saturday.
Sean Burke is the stopper of this Sox team, Gonzo. It's written in stone. He showed me enough.
Saturday is Gage Jump versus Eric Fetty.
Gage Jump is overrated. I want to put that on record right now. Gage Jump is overrated.
I'm gonna bite my tongue.
No.
Sunday's matchup: Springs versus Schultz. I'm gonna save a Schultz conversation for next week as well. So I'm
gonna ask you a yes or no question right now. Are you out on Noah Schultz?
No.
Okay, cool.
No, and that's why, because it's crazy, dude. He outpitched Davis Martin, which is how much shit he got. The next day, Davis Martin follows him and just, I think Noah gave up 4 and 5 innings, and Davis gave up 5 and 4 innings.
Yeah.
And White Sox Twitter was silent for Davis Martin, but wanted to send Noah back down to AAA like that would matter. But anyways, so back to the series. I got the Sox taking 2 of 3. I think Jump does enough to slow us down in that second game. But I got the Sox taking 2 of 3 because I think it's favorite. I don't know who Oakland's gonna throw at us tomorrow, and I don't even think it really matters with how Burke is pitching. And Sunday's matchup, Springs doesn't impress me at all, and I think Noah is gonna have an outing on Sunday. And then he's going to wrap up the series, and we're going to win another series at home going into the second half, or going into the All-Star break. And then it looks like following the All-Star break to open up the second half, we're on the road in Toronto. So again, this is a huge series to take. The A's, I think they could be a wild card team this year. Oakland, they're just a pesky team right now, and they're on the up. So this is a good matchup, for a potential playoff matchup, and then not too distant future. I think both of these teams are on the up, and I like where both teams are going. And this is a team you got to beat if you want to. Because again, I don't think you're going to get a wild card. I don't think any Central team is going to get a wild card. I think to make the playoffs this year, you need to win the division. And this is a part of it. You got to win this series at home. Jay, actually, before I give it to you on your prediction, I wanted to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Obviously, we know about Langeliers and Kurtz. They got the rookie. What's his name? The three name dude that they just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's it looks like he's 15 for 30 in his first.
He is ridiculous. I need to get his name right because I think that this is going to be one of their.
Hold on, I got you. Give me 1 second.
Kuroda, Joshua Kuroda Grady.
Don't botch his name. Do not botch his fucking name.
Something like that. He's impressive.
Yeah, Joshua Kuroda Growler.
I like that we are. I know I had them losing on Saturday versus Gage Jump, but I'm actually glad to see that matchup. That's a good lefty. Lefties have been chewing up this lineup as of lately, and we saw Tully do his thing, but I think Gage is not. He's not as his stuff is not as dominant, but he's got good control of what he has. And that's all that matters with lefties lately. If you can get the ball, near around the zone, and command it, you're usually in good shape. So I think that's a good matchup for our lefties and I should say our split guys. It's going to be a true testament, and this is a series that, again, like I said, got to win and show it. End on a good note. End the first half on a good note. Jay, take it away.
I think, well, in regards to the athletic series, I feel like I agree with you. We are taking 2 out of 3, but Gage Jump and Jeffrey Springs will get their shit bat flipped consistently this weekend. I am out on Gage Jump. I feel like he's a number 3 starter at best in the major leagues. I feel like this is an opportunity for Mune and the White Sox to get back on track, do a little bit more home cooking, like we said. Yeah, no, Gonzo, we're taking 2 out of 3, and we're getting back on track, and we're going to use Gage Jump to do that. Now that Friday game to be determined. I got to see who, because it could be a bullpen game, and it's fuzzy predicting those because your hitters see so many different arms, and nobody goes through the lineup twice. But I got 2 out of 3. White Sox taking it from the Athletics.
Jay, you won pick to click with with Colson and Montgomery. So Colson's off the board. Jay, you get the first pick.
You're still gonna have to show me the Montgomery. I'm going Braden this week. I'm gonna literally go Montgomery, and I'm gonna spin the block on you guys. Give me Braden Montgomery this week.
All right, give me Murakami.
Okay. Oh wow. I swear to God, this is a baseball podcast, but nobody hits more layups than you when it comes to pick to click.
Listen, me and you are tied at 2. OJ's at 4, and I think Slavko's at 1. Or no, sorry. Slavko's at 4. He's in the lead, and OJ has 1. Right. So I need a layup because I got to get ahead, and I need to get closer to Slavko. So looking at the chat, let's see, who do the guys have? Slavko has Teal. And OJ has Vargas. Do I got that right? Vargas is on the board.
Jackson is killing me, bro. What the fuck?
So our picks to click are as follows. We've got, as soon as this uploads, I'll post it here for you guys. For our audio listeners, our picks to clicker is as follows. Jay has Braden. I've got Murakami for making his debut again, and as we wrap up the first half of the season. Slavko has my boy Kyle Teal. OJ has Miguel Vargas. I just love how we actually have some competitive picks to click now. We got a lot of options now that we got the
no more Derek Hill. No more Drew Romo.
Hey, I might have to dip my toes with Christian Peters every now and then, but
800 OPS, Gonzo.
What we gotta do, what we gotta do, and OJ might have to slap us with that random Chase Mydroth pick. So, Jay, it's that time of the show. Give us the love. Give us the shout outs.
Unfortunately, I got to start my shout outs with the love of my life, Asia. She took a little trip to New Orleans for Essence Fest, came back and was knee deep in cake batter. So instead of spending time with the love of her life, she was back to making literally the dough. I'm so proud of her, and we're in the dog days of summer. So anybody that's working hard and like getting after it, even and the time where it's a struggle for everybody at one point or another this summer. And for people with the good work ethic, you always got to give them their flowers. So everybody out there that's been working hard this summer, I'm proud of you, because it's never easy. It's never going to be easy, but just like we had to talk to the White Sox, as long as you're getting consistent results from what you do, you'll be successful. And Asia's been so consistent with her work, and how she take care of her business. So it was easy for her to come back from vacation and get back to business. So much like Asia, I need the White Sox to get back to business with the athletics. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna give a shout out to Chris Getz too, because I'm comfortable with any decision that's being made going forward with him. Remember, Gonzo, when we first talked about this tenure, we were I'm not gonna say you were so critical with my GM, and I'm glad some of that pressure is alleviated, so we can actually trust the process and get some more Getz bots together. So shout out Asia, the White Sox, and Chris Getz for making me comfortable, and notice all you guys' hard work for the success of what we enjoy, which is White Sox and the people in our life.
So I'll touch on that in a second. The Getz part of that sentiment you had. But as I shout out, I'm going to begin off with our friend of the show that joined us, Nate Rasmussen. Thank you, my friend, for joining us for another episode of the Blackout. He killed it. He can't believe he went 70 minutes with us. I was only hoping to get him for 45 because I wanted him to get to his work that he had to do tonight. So Nate, thank you again for joining us. Again, Joe said it's true. I'm missing you, Joe. I know you're coming in and out every now and then, and we are glad to have you when you do show up and join us. And we also got Wolf, Wolf Larson. That was actually a good podcast that Chuck did when he had Rusty Greer on the pod talking about Grady Emerson. One last my last one was our guy Uncle Ted in the chat. He posted this, and I want to touch on it real quick. Gritchuck and Sir Anthony for Castillo. So I'm not sure, Uncle Ted, if you saw our pod that we had. Who was that? Jay. I'm trying to remember. That was Elijah when we were talking about trade packages.
Yes.
But one of the trade packages I had was Luis Castillo. And my thing is I would swap the Benintendi contract with Castillo's and take on the money. I think I took on 75% of Benintendi's contract. That way we can get some prospect value from their farm system back in return. Because that is quite the farm system that Seattle does have to try to dip your toe in, Jay, especially when it comes to pitching. We need pitching. They got loads of pitching. They're one of the best organizations right now in developing pitching. So if you want pitching, guys, Seattle is a good answer if you want to give them a little help right now. Because both teams are in the similar positions right now where we're fighting for the divisions. Seattle is in the hot mix right now with Houston. Really all four of them. Houston, Oakland.
Houston has no shot this year.
They're pesky, man. They're pesky. I wouldn't give up on them. I wouldn't give up on them yet. Same thing with the Rangers. They're pesky too. But yeah, I think between the two of them, I think it's going to be Seattle and Oakland. But again, that's besides the Angels, that's a division right now that all four of them are bickering with each other. So enough of me ranting on with that little comment here, but I thank you for Uncle Ted for joining us on this episode. Last but not least, I'm glad that you were talking about some of the duresses of life lately. I do add on to that because again, I talked about the house, I talked about my student loan, and I had to get a new car because obviously I know I talked to you about earlier, but I had a search engine light come on that led to a potential engine that I had to deal with, and it was a possibility of the engine, but wasn't certain. I'm not a mechanic. I can't say it's a certain thing, but I didn't want to risk it, and I wanted to get that situation taken care of. So, got a new car and got a nice commuter car, Jay. Got 2024 Corolla. That should last me until I get this student loan done, hopefully. So, Jay, that's enough of my shout outs with, talking about based off of what you said as well. But you shout out yours. I'm gonna shout out mine. Soraya. She was awesome with me. Talking about being patient with the whole dealership process of getting a car. That took 4 hours at the dealership. That on
Jesus Christ.
Yesterday, yeah, test driving cars. Somehow the internet connection went out when we were in the financing office, and then we had to deal with a different state. We were in Indiana, so we had to deal with Michigan because that's where I'm taking the car to. So there's a lot going on. And 4 hours later, I walked out of there, but she was patient. God bless her, because she had to work on her computer, and your phone is dying, and her laptop died at the dealership, and we didn't have the charger. So she didn't scold me, but she was definitely sweating there.
I would scold your ass.
Yeah.
For
so,
sure.
Last but not least, we get down to your sentiment of Chris Getz. Chris, I was going to swear again. I held it though. Chris Getz, if you fudge this up, not take my boy at Rock Chalowski 1-1, your man Gonzo. I haven't decided yet, Jay. I'm stuck between two teams right now. But if it happens on Saturday, if Manfred's up there and he says, with the number 1 pick, the Chicago White Sox select, I don't care if it's all right. If it's between Grady and Lockie, let's just throw it out there. I'd rather have Grady, right? But if he says any of those two names, Gonzo is going to be, let's just say this, guys. I'm gonna be wearing a different hat next episode if this happens. So he's got one thing to do. Again, you can say if I'm biased or whatever, say what you will, but if Rock is not taken, I don't even think it's just because I think it was consensus from the get-go, but we're at that point where, I know Lackey got into the conversation based off of essentially one season, but as far as, things go, it should be between Rock and Grady, between the two of them. And if you had to talk between the two of them, again, I said it to Nate, like at this point of time, Grady is who you want. He needs to get to that point where Rock is right now. Rock is a BPA at this very moment. You can talk ceilings all you want, but to me, that's substantial. That's subjective at the end of the day. Who's going to have the best ceiling and how you develop the two of them? But at this very moment, Rock is BPA, and he's been so for the last 3 years for this class. So again, Rock Chalowski should be the pick come Saturday. And it looks like that is probably what it's going to be. So I might not have to even think about jumping ship. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in and joining us as we wrap up, our draft coverage from the past 6 months when we first began in February. Please, in the remarks and the comments, let us know your thoughts of, what you want to see more of as we go into the second half. But altogether, thank you for tuning in and watching our coverage of the upcoming MLB draft. And thank you for tuning in and joining us as we wrap up the first half of the 2026 season. Thank you for watching the Blackout.